Are you as tired of hearing the word uncertain as I am? It seems like every commercial that I see on TV starts with the words, in these uncertain times, right? It certainly seems to be an appropriate word as the information that we get seems conflicting, and knowing who to believe is harder and harder all the time. Hey, and I want to talk about that today from three different places in Scripture: 1 Corinthians 13, Luke chapter 6, and Romans chapter 12. If you wanted to mark your Bible, I'll talk more when we get there, but I wanted to give a few moments for people to join on with us today. I didn't promote this, so we may have a smaller audience today. Good morning. My name is Pastor Jeff Elliott. My name's not really pastor, that's more of a title. But Jeff Elliott, the pastor of New Horizons Fellowship here in New Haven, Indiana. Good morning, Gary and Ruth. I want to give a couple jokes for you, waiting for some people to tune in. I got to do some more checking, but it seems that here where we are in Indiana, the governor has pushed forward our dates of opening things up um, just by a couple days, so it's not that big of a deal. But good news for us. I hope that wherever you're watching from, if it's not in Indiana, that you're uh, being a little less restricted than you were before as well. All right, so the theme for today, I had some jokes. It turned out to be animal jokes. I was going to stick with cow jokes. I know at least one of these you've heard. What do you call a cow with no legs? Ground beef, right? And that's probably the one that you've heard. So then I saw a whole series of jokes about that. I want to do a couple of them here, and then I decided there was another one that I really liked so much that it is an animal joke, so I wanted to go with it. And then there's a little story behind where it led me. So the second cow joke: what do you call a cow with a twitch? Beef jerky. I'm gonna pause and just give you just a second to catch on to those, and maybe you could be able to figure them out. Last one on the cows. What do you call a cow during an earthquake? I hope you got that one. That's a milkshake. So that seems like we've really lowered the bar for humor. Maybe second graders. That's about the level we're down to today. Anyway, this last one reminded me of something my dad used to do all the time. I didn't realize there was a joke about it. The joke says this: why do you never see elephants hiding in trees? And the answer is because they're so good at it. And when I saw that joke, it reminded me. I don't know if he's. I doubt he does this still with just my mom in the car. But I'm the oldest of four brothers, and we would travel sometimes. Um, and there was two things that my dad would do when we were traveling. One of them would be related to this joke: is for no reason he'd just honk the horn, and we'd all sit up to see what was he honking at, and he'd say, "We said, what are you honking at? There's nothing there." And he'd say, "To get the elephants out of the road." And then we'd say, "Well, there's no elephants." And he would say, "It works, doesn't it?" I don't know how many times we fell for that joke. The other thing he would do, and I'm sure my mom didn't like this one, is eventually when we would all fall asleep on a long trip we went to Kentucky a lot. Um, when we'd just about all be to go to sleep or just be asleep, and he'd yell, fire truck. And of course, as boys, we wanted to see, and we'd all hop up to see. And I'm sure mom wasn't happy about that, but I still remember him doing that. I don't think I've done that with my kids. They're probably past the age now where they would care about that or think that was funny. They've seen fire trucks before. So anyway, well, good morning. I hope there's some more people out there. I've just got Gary and Ruth. If it's just you guys, how are you? Otherwise, um, hopefully you're watching this recorded. I know I didn't send out an advance warning. But we are planning here at New Horizons to reopen on Sunday. I shouldn't say reopen. We've been open and doing business as usual this way, but we're planning to worship together in our fellowship hall. It's our normal time at 10:15 this Sunday, and a little bit of a modified way um, to make sure we have precautions and keep people spread out. Um, and I'm not sure now that I haven't had time to check what the governor's restrictions were. I'm not sure where we are on face masks or where we're going to be on Sunday. Here at the church, we don't have them. If you want to wear them, that's fine. We'll encourage you to do that. There won't be any up or downside or judgment whether you do that or not. We do not have them. As far as hand sanitizer, we do have some, a little, a couple bottles, and I think some people are going to bring some more in. We'll encourage you to use that as you come in and as you leave. Good morning, Margaret. The doors will be propped open, so you won't have to touch the doors. You can just come in. You'll see the seats will be all spread out, and you can pick a section for you or your family as well. You'll be able to sit in family groups. We're gonna keep you spread out. Um, I figured out what else I can say. The windows will be open to the outside, so we'll get some fresh air in there. We won't be recirculating the air that everybody's been breathing. Actually, we'll probably have, if you've been to the grocery store lately, we'll probably have more room for you on Sunday than you have when you go to your local grocery store. And for those of you who are still not able to be with us on Sunday, or just not ready to get out yet, we are going to record that service for you, and we'll post it later. I keep going back and forth about that. We really love our online audience, and we know that some of you just, for whatever reasons, aren't comfortable with that, and that's totally fine. And we want to stay in touch with you and encourage you to write us here. You can email me at pastorjeff@newhorizonsfellowship.net. Contact us on our Facebook page. You can put something in the inbox there. I check those pretty regularly, and we do want to stay in touch with you. But today I want to talk about um, things that I know about. And I referred to this, I think it was last on Tuesday, that I'm not a doctor, not an epidemiologist, not a politician or a journalist, so I don't know all the answers. It's not my specialty. That's not what I do for a living. So today I want to talk about things that I do know about, things that aren't uncertain. It seems that the information that we're going on today, that we live our daily lives by, depends on where you get it. If you're watching one channel, you hear it's the end of the world. If you watch the others, like, hey, we're all coming back to life, and everybody's getting out and doing all those things. Is it getting better or worse? Depends on who you're listening to and who you believe. How deadly is this virus? How contagious is it? How long does it stay and cling to the surfaces of groceries that we bring home in the bags? How long does it live? Is it killed by sunshine? And it's just, after a while, I quit listening to all of it. For a while, I really tuned in and wanted to know what was going on until I realized that it's just coming from all different places. Good morning, Peggy. And I don't know that I get news from Facebook. I get leads from Facebook to track down and try to find somewhere else. And what I've discovered is that I have Facebook friends on every side of this issue. Those from saying we shouldn't ever go anywhere ever again. This virus is going to kill us all. To all of those, oh, it's no big deal. We should have been out this whole time and not worried about it. I literally, and I guess that's a good thing, that I have friends that believe all those things, but it can be confusing, uh, because these are people that I know and care about, and I get all this information that seems to be conflicting. I do know this: I have never been in a season of life, a season of time, where I more desired to know the truth than I do right now. And I don't think anybody knows it, and that's probably why I want to know more. But no one else seems to know or agree on what is real, and what is to be worried about, and what is to be prepared for in the future. I just know that I wish I knew the truth right now. Um, so I had to kind of build from that, and I was thinking that through this morning. Since I'm in this uncertain days, and I'm going to try my best not to use that word anymore, maybe one more time at the end, because I'm so tired of hearing it. And also, if you've noticed, I don't use the word coronavirus anymore because I'm tired of hearing that as well. I'll say virus, disease, whatever. You won't hear that one again. In the midst of this not knowing what's going on in these days, um, what is my source of comfort? How do I keep going when I'm a person, specifically my personality? I like to plan for the future and know what's going on. So what do I keep going back to when I don't know what the answers are, what the real information, and what the truth is? And I was reminded of 1 Corinthians chapter 13. We're going to be there for about 5 or 6 verses, and then we'll go to Luke chapter 6, and then again we'll go to Romans 12. And when I say 1 Corinthians 13, it probably popped into your mind, oh, he's going to talk about love. Well, I wanted to read the verses at the end of chapter 13. And chapter 8 is verse 8 is the very end of the whole love. Love is patient, love is kind, and all those sorts of things that we hear at weddings a lot. But it ends with verse 8, and it says, love never ends. And it's this next section that I want you to pay attention to. It says, but as for prophecies, they will come to an end. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will come to an end. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. And this was the part that came to my mind today as I was thinking about not knowing information. It says verse 10, but when the perfect comes, the partial will come to an end. When perfect knowledge comes, the things that are unknown or unclear will be ended. When I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put away childish things. For now, we see only a reflection as in a mirror, but then face to face. So there's a time that we can look forward to when knowledge will be perfect and complete. It says, now I know in part, but then I will know fully as I am fully known. Verse 13, now these three remain: faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. So as I was thinking about this passage where Paul is writing that knowledge is unclear and imperfect, we live in those days now. He describes the word love as both the introduction and the conclusion on both ends of that. Knowledge is vague in the middle. And in the beginning of that passage, love never ends in verse 8. In verse 13, now these three remain: faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. And it just kind of stuck out to me today that when we don't know everything, when our wisdom and our information are incomplete, what do? We have to start and end with love, like Paul does here in 1 Corinthians. It's one of the things that we know and we can be certain. So then we begin to apply that. Can I respond in love to those whom I disagree with? And clearly they are making their voices heard today. There are many people that we probably disagree with on a lot of issues. Can I respond in love to those who pass along information, whether it's true or false? Or do I need to lash out at them and correct their information? Can I respond in love to those who seek evil on me? And I was heartbroken this morning to I haven't had time to investigate this, but it appears to be true that yesterday or last night there was a church in Mississippi that was either blown up or burned for not they did not close during this time. And someone had spray painted on the parking lot. Bet you stay home now, you hypocrites. And that's a whole nother story why someone would think a church is hypocritical for meeting. Um, that's for another day. But anyway, that was heartbroken to see that story. And clearly, there are people with evil intent towards us out there. Well, when wisdom is incomplete, how do we respond in love? Because we realize that that's the only thing that we're certain of. In Luke chapter 6, verse 27, Jesus says this: but I say to you who listen, love your enemies, do what is good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you. If anyone hits you on the cheek, offer the other also. If anyone takes away your coat, don't hold back your shirt either. Give to everyone who asks you, and from someone who takes your things, don't ask for them back. Just as you want others to do for you, do the same for them. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners love those who love them. If you do what is good to those who are good to you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners do that. And if you lend to those from whom you expect to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to be repaid in full. But love your enemies, do what is good, and lend, expecting nothing in return. Then your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High. For he is gracious to the ungrateful and the evil. Isn't that good news? That even despite ungratefulness and evil, God is still gracious to us. Be merciful, just as your Father also is merciful. So the answer to the question is, can I respond in love to those who I disagree with, to those who pass along false information, to those who seek evil on me? According to Jesus in Luke chapter 6, the answer is yes. I can be merciful just as my Father is merciful. So the answer is yes. But the next question is how, right? Because we love the ideas that we can love our neighbors and treat all people fairly and be merciful, but we realize there's something within us that makes that difficult. So that's your question that only you can answer for today. If we know that the biblical response is to love, how do we respond in love to those around us today? Let me encourage you to try that. Maybe you are one who tends to get into verbal, well, it could be literal verbal, or you tend to be an internet troll. You go out there looking for fights. Um, Let me ask you this: try to apply yourself in a way that is responding in love today. Try something new. How do we love those who are afraid in this time and those who are fearless? How do we love those who demand that we stay home and those who say we should be out? How do we love those who insist we wear a mask and those who insist it does no good? Um, how do we, and even most importantly, how do we love those who have lost everything in this time of suffering, whether it be families or their own health or income? How do we love them? And how do we love those who this has had literally no effect on? How do we love those who have lost loved ones to this virus and to those who insist it is not a big deal? How do we love? So I ran across another passage. I want to close with this today. It really reads like one of the Proverbs, which I've been mentioning for the past few weeks. In Romans chapter 12, Paul starts on with this idea of love, but then I think there's a whole bunch of great guidelines in there for us. When wisdom is incomplete, when truth is unknown, and we know we're supposed to respond in love, how do we do that? Romans chapter 12, verses 9 through 18, and this is going to be our conclusion for today. Let love be without hypocrisy. Detest evil. Cling to what is good. Love one another deeply as brothers and sisters. Outdo one another in showing honor. Do not lack diligence in zeal. Be fervent in the Spirit. Serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in affliction. Be persistent in prayer. Share with the saints in their needs. Pursue hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud. Instead, associate with the humble. Do not be wise in your own estimation. As I was reading this one, that one really stuck out because everybody thinks they know the answer, right? Do not be wise in your own estimation. Verse 17, Romans chapter 12. Do not repay anyone evil for evil. Give careful thought to do what is honorable in everyone's eyes. If possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. So much of that seems antithetical to the times that we live in now. There's a sense of gentleness and calm and peace in there that just seems to be missing. So let me encourage you to read those verses in Romans chapter 12 again today, Romans 12, 9 to 18, 1 Corinthians 13, as we try to sort out truth from error and have something certain to believe in. This is these verses are some truth you can trust, some words to live by. It's some absolute guidance in these uncertain times. And that's going to be my prayer today, that the Spirit of God would give us wisdom and discernment, would give us love, and just help us to really meditate on these verses in Romans chapter 12 and make it as real as we can. This is what we know. This is what we trust. This is from the one that we believe to be above all, to sovereign, who has not been surprised by any of this, who is not in any way uncertain. So let me encourage you to meditate on those verses today, and we'll go to prayer this morning. Father, I thank you for those who have joined us, and I am so thankful that we have a place to go to look for truth, um, wisdom that we can trust. I ask that in these days your Spirit would bring to us a sense of peace and calmness, hope and faith and love. We realize that your word says the greatest of these is love. Help us to practice today with someone that we come into contact with. Maybe it's a spouse that we've been with for the last 2 months, or a family member, or maybe we have some sort of meeting today, even over an online meeting. May we speak to someone in a sense and with a spirit of love. And for some of us, that's going to stretch us. Um, we pray that we be stretched in that way in this time of discomfort, that it creates something deeper and better and truer in us, that we are people of love who not only love you and love your word, but love the people that you have given around us, not just the ones that are easy to love, but also the ones that are difficult. Um, if nothing else, may we learn this today. Give us wisdom and discernment. Help us to love each other. Help us to understand how to do that. And it's only through the power of your Spirit. And we ask this in Christ's name. Amen. God bless. If you're able, we'll be here at 10:15 on Sunday, and we'll have seats all spread out. You can just come right into the door, right to your seat, sanitize your hands, get up and walk right out to your car. And we'll keep it as contact free as possible. And then hopefully the next week our guidelines will be, our restrictions will be even less, and we can work towards something that is a little more familiar to us. So if not, we'll post that online. So God bless. Have a great day. Good morning, Sue. How are you? Everybody have a great day, and let's find out really what it means to love each other.